Hey friends, welcome back to Mindi and the mic from Stigma to Connection, and today's episode hits super close to home because I am joined by my longtime friend Laura Lawson, who also happens to be married to a recent guest of this podcast, Luke Lawson. Laura and I go way back from college, and fun fact, I lived on her living room floor on a mattress one summer post graduation because I was on an internship where I had to fundraise my own salary. So I was in her city and I was like making connections with all these partners, and she let me stay on her living room floor. She is now a stay at home mom with two sweet girls, and today we're digging into what that transition was like. From full time work to full time parenting, living in the basement with a newborn, and also talking about her purpose, identity, and connection as a mom. Whether you're a parent or thinking about becoming one, or just curious of what it's like to be a stay at home mom with toddlers, this is the episode for you. And it's just fun to catch up with her as well because she is one of my favorite people. And I hope you enjoy. I'm Mindi, and I have a microphone. So this must be Mindi and the mic from Stigma to Connection. Let's have a conversation. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to Mindi and the mic from Stigma to Connection. And today I have a personal friend with me, Laura, Laura Lawson.
Hey.
Her husband was just on recently a couple episodes back. But yeah, Laura, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm glad that I can be here with you, Mindy, and good to chat with you a little bit.
Yeah. I assume you live with your husband, so
I
you
do.
are also in you are also in Mankato, Minnesota, correct?
Yes, we're in Mankato. We've got two kids. Lily Ann's going to be 2 in the middle of April, and then Lorraine just turned 3 months old. But yeah, we love Mankato. We're Minnesotans now, I guess, and so yeah,
Go Minnesota.
yeah.
It's a beautiful state. Even though we're both technically from Iowa, I have to say I think I really love Minnesota because it's so pretty. It's so green.
It is. It is. Well, it was 80 degrees on Friday, and we got snow yesterday. So
Oh, you did?
yeah, we
Shoot.
have like probably an inch of snow outside right now. So
Whoa.
yep. So it's like a driving through a winter wonderland. As I was driving around town this morning, I was like, wow, we live in a winter wonderland, and
Beautiful.
it's almost April. So
Yeah, well, that was like Omaha like a couple weeks ago. It was like blizzarding, like 3 to 5 inches, and then
mhm.
we went out of town, and then the next week it was like 80 degrees and people were getting sunburnt, and I was like, what is going on?
I'm pretty sure we all got sunburnt. We spent a little bit of time outside on Friday, and I think almost all of us ended up with a little bit of sunburn.
Yeah.
But
But Laura and I know each other are pretty, like, as you probably can expect. We didn't go to the same college. She went to the University of Northern Iowa, and I went to Iowa State University. And we both met each other at this like program that we did in college
mhm.
together through our college ministry. And then we both knew of each other because we both had a really close mutual friend. And then I don't know, do you remember like, kinda hang out? I know we hang out in big groups. We went to, like, a skiing trip together one time when we
Yeah,
went to Denver, right?
we went on a hiking trip. I can't
Yeah.
remember. That was probably our sophomore year. But yeah, I think Nicole and I would take random trips to Iowa State, end up seeing you and a couple other friends, and then yeah, like we just ended up we went to a cross conference together
Oh my
one
gosh.
year. I like we did so many just random trips together that was just so fun. Um
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I think how me and Laura actually became, like, not friends, but, like, really good friends was when I
Yeah.
actually lived with her very unexpectedly right after college. She was living in an apartment, and at that time, she was, like, the only one living there because 2 of her roommates moved out,
Yep.
and they had, like, this futon couch in the middle of their living
I'm
room,
pretty sure
right?
you slept on a mattress. Like, I think we had a spare mattress in our living room, and I think that's what you slept on in our living room.
Really?
I'm pretty sure that, like, one of our friends had left a mattress at one of our houses and was like, "I'll just pick it up later." I'm like, "Can Mindy sleep on it?" And they're like, "Sure." She can.
Okay, so
And
there you
you
have
slept
it.
on a couch in our living room for a whole summer.
Yeah, yeah. I went on this internship where I had to like fundraise and go and travel and meet people in person. And then when I went to Laura's, like her college town, Cedar Falls, I was like, "Hey, could I like stay with you because I need a place to stay?" And I ended up staying there for at least a couple of weeks, if not a month.
I think you were there for at least a month because I think we might have overlapped when Nicole, like one of like Nicole moved out, and then I think we all three lived together because we rarely saw Nicole because she was
Yeah, because
planning
she's
her
getting
wedding. Yeah,
married.
she was getting
Yeah.
married.
Yeah, yeah. So me and Laura really got to know each other. I remember when she and Luke went on their first date. We just really we cooked together. It was kind of like having our own little college experience, even though I
Mhm.
graduated at that time. I know that you were still in college though.
Yeah, I took a victory lap 5th year. It was a good time.
Fifth year. Love
Yeah,
it. You went to college then at UNI. How many
yep,
years were you there then? 5 years, you said?
5 years. Yep.
What was your major?
Nonprofit leadership. Wait, what was it? Recreation tours and nonprofit leadership. So I focused on like the nonprofit organizational side of things. I loved it. It was so fun. It
Yeah,
shouldn't
and
have
then me
taken
and
me 5 years, but here we are.
it's okay. College is college. They just want you there all the time. You probably could have stayed 10 years and they'd be perfectly happy with it.
Probably. It probably would have helped. I switched my major my junior year from music education to RTNL. So,
Yeah,
yep.
Laura and I actually worked for the same organization for a bit. We both worked for a
Mhm.
nonprofit. And then you married Luke while you were working for them, right? No, you were still a student.
I did an internship for the organization for a couple months and then got married, graduated, and then went on staff with the ministry. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you became pregnant, right? While you were on staff.
Yep. Yep. So, we were in the internship is about 2 years for this nonprofit, and we I think we got pregnant right after my first year, so it was Luke's second year. Um, and yeah, it was a great old time. We were not really expecting her, but she's a huge blessing, and now she'll be two so soon.
Lily.
Yeah, Lily.
Luke and Laura like to do like a little L theme with their kids.
I we heard that you have to keep the L theme going, so Lillian and Lorray. Now we have to just keep going with the L's if we
We
have
gotta
more
keep it
kids.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason that I wanted Laura to come on the podcast today is because she can speak a lot about what it means to be a stay at home mom. And I think there's a lot of expectations, there's a lot of pressures. I know that in my previous episode, we talked about with Sean just about like the pressures of being a stay at home mom and what it looks like, how it shapes your identity. And that's why I wanted Laura to come on to just really speak to
Mhm.
that, just because she's not like her kids are not old and grown and she's not in her 60s or whatnot. But I think it's a huge transition from going from working full time to even just staying at home. And so what was
Mhm.
that transition like for you when you went from working full time to staying at home?
Yeah, yeah, it was a pretty massive shift. Um, I was working like 50 plus hours a week with the organization, and
Wow.
my my time frame was kind of like, okay, by the time like school ends, that's when Lily was due, like, right when school was gonna be ending, but she ended up coming 5 weeks early, and so, like, I kinda had, like, a little countdown of, like, how
Mhm.
many, like, meetings do I have left or, like, how many times, like, doing Bible studies do I have left with some of these girls, and then, since she came early, she basically dictated when I was gonna be done working, and
Yeah.
so that those, like, 5 weeks, 6 weeks that I had left, on campus turned into being done when she came, and that was a pretty rough transition, I think, just
Yeah.
because I was so used to working so much and having so much to do, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, now I have a child and I'm not working. Like, and that's just been that was it happened so fast. But it left me really bored. Like newborns
Hmm.
so much fun. So much fun. She was in the hospital for 3 weeks after she was born. I honestly needed something else to like keep me going. So I did actually do a couple of work things like outside of or like while I was just sitting in the hospital. Because what else do you do besides sit in a hospital, hold your baby every like when you can? I like ended up doing a couple work things, and then I kind of transitioned out a little bit, but I felt really bored right after I had
Yeah.
Lily. Just because that was such a shift change of like, oh, like I have so much going on, I never have free time, to my baby sleeps so often. What do I do in that time that she's sleeping? I think also within that transition, we were planning on moving um, to back to Cedar Falls, and we ended up actually moving in with Luke, so my husband's parents, to as we tried to like kind of figure out what was going to be the next best place for us to be, what was next. And so we lived in their basement, which was a huge blessing for us, as we just didn't have to like sign a lease or anything like that. And we're like, we could kind of come and go as we pleased. But um, I think that also fed into that transition of working, staying home, and then also then transitioning to living in his parents' basement. Now, looking back like a year later, we bought a house, moved to Mankato, and that transition's also been also a huge one as well. So,
Yeah. Props to you for I think it's like humility to go back into your parents' basement with a baby.
yeah, I wouldn't probably do it now. We love them. They're so good with Lily. It was such a sweet time. But with a toddler, it was gonna be difficult. We moved out just as Lily had started walking. And so she wasn't super mobile until we moved. And I'm very thankful that there were so many things for her to get into that weren't the best. So we're glad that we can now have a space for her to just kind of run around, and um, it's a lot better for her and for us and our sanity. So
Yeah. Did you ever imagine that you would be a stay-at-home mom?
I did. I really wanted to stay at home. That was kind of like always my plan. When I went to
Okay.
school, I kind of always had this image of like I'm probably going to stay home once I do have kids. But
Right, right.
when I was going through college, I wasn't dating anyone, wasn't married, no kids were in the possible future, so I had to choose something to study, you know. Um, yeah, so I always kind of assumed that I would stay home, if that was like a possibility for us, like financially or stage of life, place that we wanted to be in. And so I really kind of always wanted to, but I think I had a different expectation of what it was going to look like. I always kind of assumed that like staying home was going to be like all fun and games all the time. And I never really
Yeah,
thought of like,
yeah.
oh, like the little downtime that you have, you know, like, oh, like it's nap time. What do I do during that time? Or like, oh, Lily's having some meltdowns today, or like just a hard day. I never really pictured the hard moments in with the good, like the fun moments. And
Right.
so I, yeah, so it wasn't quite the picture I expected it to be, but it's been so fun to get to stay home with them right now.
Yeah, I feel like society has this like view at stay-at-home moms of like, oh, like you went to college and now you're forced into this like identity and this role that you have to take on and
Mhm.
like woe is you, like this is probably the worst thing ever, staying home with baby.
Yeah,
But I know that I have personally a lot of friends that really do enjoy it and they want it and they want to then they chose it for that specific reason.
yeah. Yeah, it's been so good for us just to be able to be home with the kids. Like I love getting to see like all the milestones that Lily's hit, and not have like
Mm,
to have someone tell me like, "Oh, she walked today." Like I got to see it in my own eyes, and I think that's just been really sweet.
that is all. And
Yeah.
then what does like a successful day look like for you? Like do you have a routine? Are you like one of those moms that you're like, ah, I don't really need a routine?
I think when I first started out living in the basement with Lily when she was younger, I like really needed some sort of structure for the day. Otherwise, there
Yeah,
was no need for me to like leave the house. So like a couple of the things were like, oh, like I'm gonna read my Bible today. Got it. I can do that. I'm going to brush my teeth and get dressed for the day. Like just those things to help me feel like I'm an actual person. I
right.
have like I'm not just doing nothing all day, or
Yeah.
like just only caring for Lily. Like I want to take care of myself too. Um and so but right now I think one of a successful day is like going through the day without with minimal meltdowns. Um, if I can like try and also to find some like rest and reset time for myself. So like one of the things that I try to do is come up with like one thing that I like want to do that day. Whether it's
Yeah.
like I'm gonna go to the grocery store. Good. I can check that off. Like I'm a huge checkbox gal. Like if I can check something off, I'll write it in my planner just to check it off. I
Yeah,
just
I remember
love
that from
that feeling.
college. You are
I
a planning person.
I am, and I think it's made me a little bit more go with the flow of like, okay, like this morning, Lily was just wanting to do a lot of things, and so we're like, we need to get out of the house, and so just like feeling that freedom to do that. But yeah, so if I can say like, oh, like I'm gonna go to the grocery store, like, oh, I'm gonna make banana bread today, and I can just check that off the mark, like that's I feel like that's honestly a successful day. Just to create a routine of like, okay, I don't feel like at the end of the day when I get to it, it's like, oh, was today a good day? Was today not a good day? And honestly, if I don't get any of those like checklist things done, it's okay. Like we're
Yeah.
keeping two kiddos alive, like fed and taken care of, like safe. Like I can honestly say that that's probably the most successful thing that you could do. Um, but you know, I think if I can try to get like one extra thing or like one thing for me, that's a successful day. So,
Yeah, that's successful. I think it's interesting as well because every kid is different, every mom is different. So like some kids really do thrive off routine and like you said that I think that you really do thrive off like a checklist or routine. But then you have other kids that they might not really like
hmm
structure, etc. And there's some moms that just are like, I don't really know.
yeah,
But I think what really works for you and you know the
yep,
system that works best for you and your kid.
yeah. And I think every couple of months we're gonna have to reevaluate. Like, is this actually
Right.
working? You know, like especially as like Lorraine starts like crawling, rolling, like she's not gonna wanna sit in her car seat all as long as she does when I go out with Lily or something, like, she's gonna also need to be, like, entertained and, like, have the availability to go somewhere or do something, and so, I think it's, like, a constantly adaptable routine that you can have, and
Right,
so,
right.
yeah.
Do you do a sleep train?
Honestly, we've had such good sleepers. I
Okay, good.
Lily was sleeping through the night by like 3 months old. Lorraine's like so close to. She like goes to bed at like 9 and wakes up at like 6. So like in most eyes, she's still sleeping through the night. But we have not had to sleep train, thankfully. I know some parents that
Okay.
have, and I'm very thankful for my really good sleepers.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends from college who have babies, and I always hear these terms like sleep train and hearing about breastfeeding and hearing about
Yes,
just different
yes.
terminologies. Like, as someone that doesn't have a baby, I don't know what this means.
Yeah,
And so I'm like, cool.
yeah, the sleep training I've heard is really hard. I
Yeah.
think we might have slightly done it with Lily, just basically trying to wean her off of night feeds, I think was mostly the key. And then I think we did like one or two of the things that you could do. We read a book that's like 12 hours of sleep by 12 weeks or something like that. And
Mm.
we followed a couple of them, and then Lily just did the rest herself. So
Oh.
yeah, like, it was just so simple, but I know for others it's not that case. So,
Yeah, yeah. You talked about how just that feeling of being bored when you're home, and Luke was working at the time too, I'm assuming
mhm.
when you had Lily.
Yep.
But how do you handle the feeling of like being isolated or even the temptation of like self doubt or even like lack of adult interaction?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's something that I do struggle with a little bit is, like, that feeling of
Mm,
isolation, and I think I've tried to figure out what works for me, like, Luke's a major introvert, I'm a more extroverted person. I think parenting has made me more of an introvert, but
yeah.
being more of an extrovert when Luke also works with a lot of people, and he loves his job. I want to spend time with some people. And I think for me, that isolation feeling of like, I want to be friends with people around me, and I want to be friends with people who are in the same stage of life as me and in different stages of life. And so something that I feel like I've tried to do is get out of my comfort zone. And like, I think there was at one point when Lily was younger, is like, well, I can't really go to a park because she's not old enough to enjoy the park. And that's where I feel like a lot of people meet people. And I like wanted to make friends with people that were in the same stage of life. And so something I started doing was there were a couple other women in the church that we were going to when we first had Lily, and like trying to befriend the people that were also had young kids and get time with them, or um, just making space where I could engage with other women was, I think, a priority for me, so then I didn't feel as isolated. Right now, I think it's just so nice to have friends in the same season of
Yeah.
life.
It's important too.
Yeah, yeah. I think there was a time when I felt like super, super alone, and I started like just
Mm.
trying, like I didn't know where to go, or like I'm like, oh, like she's not in that stage of life where I can, yeah, like go to the park or go do something fun where other kids would also be there, that like when they're infants, they don't really need a lot of entertaining.
Yeah.
You're mostly their entertainment, you know. But now, like, I feel like I've gotten to engage with some people, and made friends with people who have similar aged kids. And now I can like go somewhere and I'm like, oh, like I'll text them and say, like, hey, I'm going to, like, we're going to the park this afternoon. And it honestly makes such a difference of getting to parent with other people in the same season of life. Just
Yeah.
because it makes you feel so less alone. And honestly, I've gotten to ask for advice on from so many of these women that have a slightly older kids, and I can ask them like, "Oh, like, what have you done with like I know potty training?" I feel like that's the stage we're in right now. Is like, do we start potty training? Do we not? Feels really daunting, but I'm sure it will be fine. But getting to put myself out there and ask people like, "Hey, would you want to hang out with the kids?" And that also gives Lily and eventually Lorraine some friends that will also they'll be able to play with. And I can already see like Lily loves getting to go and play with some of our friends that are her age, and they're teaching her things. I'm learning things. They're like we all get to just it's a benefit, I think, on all sides. But I think
That's
for
awesome though.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so, so fun. And I feel like that didn't come naturally. It didn't come quickly. It didn't, I think I had to try to do it in a way that I had to push myself out of my comfort zone a little bit, or like slightly invite myself in on groups that I knew were like, I think one of the first things I started doing was there was a mom's group that was like go and play at the playground at one of the churches we were going to. And I would go with Lily and her 2-month-old self. She wasn't going to go play on the playground. But like for me, I needed other interactions with people so that I didn't feel so alone. And that was just really helpful. Um, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think the fact that you emphasize that too is so important for anyone who doesn't even have kids, or anyone who's working a full-time job, or anyone that
yeah,
has a teenager. You need
mhm,
people who are in similar walks of life. And of course, you need people who are in different walks. But I think the empathy is the big key there. Just
mhm,
because, like, I'll use our friendship, for example. Like, if you asked me advice about sleep training or like how you would feed your kid, I would
yep,
be like, Laura, I have no idea what you're talking about.
yeah,
But if you, like, ask your friends that you met from your church, or even, like, I know some people will meet, like, mom friends from daycare. There's other cohorts. There's even Facebook groups out there. But they can give you, like, real advice, real empathy, and say,
yep.
"Hey, I'm here with you. I've been through that." So that's extremely, extremely important.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think something too is, um, relationships are gonna change a little bit from, like, not having kids to having kids, and I think
Yes.
for us, like, that was also a shift of, like, okay, like, some of these, like, friendships, like, we love these friendships, but they're not gonna quite understand, like, we don't go anywhere after, like, 7:30 at night because we have kids that have to go to bed, and so I think that's also just been something that we've had to, like, kind of keep in mind of like knowing the people that understand kids and their tendencies of like getting into things or like needing like a routine or schedule or going to bed at a certain time, um, when that wasn't always our life. And so I think that's been something that we've kind of like had to mourn a little bit of the changing of friendships, or some of those relationships have just
Mm,
shifted
mm.
how they look. Some of them have looked like we don't really hang out as much, or we need to have more just non non-kid time maybe with them. But it's so fun when we get to invite our kids into friendships with us. And so parenting isn't for being by yourself. It's so much better enjoyed with a like well, one with a spouse, getting to partner. Like it'd be so hard for me to parent our kids well without having Luke like do it
Yeah.
with me. And I think even having friends that are doing it at the same time, I think that's just been
Just
such a blessing.
just like the importance of community and having people in your corner. And even
Mhm.
like if you have a bad day, you can like call up your mom friend and be like, "Hey,
Yep,
would you want to just go to the park with me?" And you can
yep,
bring your kids and you
yep.
can have that decompressing time but still have your kids involved too. That's super super
Yes.
important.
Yes, yes, and it's so good for the kids, it's so good for you. Like, it's literally just a winning game there.
Yeah. Did you ever experience, I'll call it like quote unquote the mom guilt? Like I know that some moms feel like this perfectionism. Some moms feel like, oh, there's like so many things on the internet these days about like what makes the perfect kid. But
Yeah.
did you ever experience that? Or did you take it more as like, no, like I'm gonna do what's best for my kid because they're my kids?
I think something that I've felt is, like, feeling guilty for, like, wanting time away from my kids.
Mm.
Like, maybe not necessarily, like, the side of, like, "Oh, like, I don't wanna fail my kids," which I don't, but I think for
Yeah.
me, like, I, like, do enjoy getting time away from them. But then when I'm away from them, I always am like, "Oh, like, I hope things are going well with whoever's watching them," you know? But I think sometimes, like, I also learned, like, I need a break. I need time away by myself, after being with them kind of all day, every day. Um, and they're a huge blessing, but sometimes I find myself getting very frustrated and very tired and overstimulated by being their entertainment all day, and kind of bowing to their every need, feeding. Well, I feel like food's a lot of like a lot of the things that we end up doing of like, oh, you need a snack. Oh, you need fed. Oh, you need a snack. Everyone always needs something. So I think that's the thing that I feel like I like should want to be with the kids all the time because they're a blessing. But I think I also recognize like I do need time away from them, or like time away by
Right.
myself. And with that kind of similar saying with staying at home, I sometimes feel like the kids are my responsibility and not like Luke and I's responsibility because I am
Mm.
staying home. Like this is my full-time job, so they fall into my area of like I need to take care of them. Um, and so then sometimes I just have a hard time asking for help from Luke. And because I have such a hard time asking for help from him, which he's so willing to help. He loves helping. He loves the kids. But I feel often that responsibility of like everything I need to do for everything for them. And that often keeps me from like asking for help from anyone, or Luke in particular.
Yeah, I think if you think about, like, adults, we're not always with each other.
No.
We're like, you are not dependent on me, I'm not dependent on you. I'm not
Yes.
always with my mom or my dad or even with Nick, like,
Yeah.
my boyfriend. I'm not
Yep.
always with him, and you're not always with Luke. But when
No.
you have a baby and when you have a small child, they kinda are always with you, not because they kinda have to be.
Yes, they
And
do, yeah.
so yeah, and then that's, like, how adulthood works, is that you train them eventually to be more independent, to eventually Lily will be able to get her own food.
Yes.
Yeah, but I
Yes.
think that's perfectly understandable just because, like, as humans, we're not designed to, like, live, like, baby and mom attached to each other until we're, like, 25.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not healthy, and so it
Mhm.
makes sense why you need a break and why you would want a break too, and
Yeah.
just I think like you said, you recognize it yourself. Like, you don't need to feel guilty, but I feel like there's that societal pressure of like, stay at home mom should look this way. And they
Mhm.
put you guys in a box.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, what else do you think people misunderstand about what it means to be a stay at home mom or a parent?
I think sometimes this also goes to like my original thought of like what staying home looks like is like you just have fun and have a free day all day long. There's just also the side of it where you're like your brain never shuts off. You never really get like even during nap time. I'm normally doing something or like okay, like how much time till Lily wakes up from her nap or like how long till this or this or this or and so I think like some of the emotional like just toil that stays with being a parent, like a stay-at-home parent, which is probably also the case for any parent, is just like not ever really getting to shut your brain off. Like I can be laying in bed at night watching a movie, and I'll just like hear someone crying. I'm like, okay, like what do I need to do? Like, does someone need something? And it turns out like 99% of the time, no one's crying. It's just all in my head. And, or like just thinking like, oh, when did Lorraine last eat? Or like, did I pack enough diapers? The other day I didn't pack enough diapers. And, here we are. We just kept going. Um, but I think having my brain on all the time is exhausting.
Yeah.
Not just like a physical exhaustion, but like a mental, like, I don't want to have to make any more decisions throughout the day. Or like once it gets to the end of the day, it's like, I just don't want to make any more decisions. Like my brain's just too tired or like trying to figure out like, what are we going to do today? And I think honestly for me that's like one of the things that's like emotionally hard is just like I'm tired. Like I don't know how else to say it, that I'm tired of caring for those around me or closest to me. And it's not because I don't love them. I'm just tired because I feel needed. And that's a good thing. That doesn't mean that it's not still exhausting.
And just like people, like you probably couldn't understand what it's like to be a CEO of a company because you're not in that role and you're not doing
No.
those tasks and you're not doing those duties.
Hmm.
But at the same time too, like people who are in that position of being a CEO can't possibly probably understand too unless they are a parent
Yep.
because well they actually are not like a stay-at-home person because they're being a CEO, but
Yep.
they're just totally different challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just I think the matter is empathy. Like I think when people misunderstand stuff, maybe they're not trying to like see it from your perspective or put themselves in your shoes too.
Mhm. And, like, I also like you said, like, I can't put myself in the CEO's position because I'm not a CEO, and so we're gonna have different expectations for each of us, so,
What's something that you wish people would stop saying to stay-at-home moms?
honestly, I think it's, like, "What do you do all day?" Or, like, I don't know, like, I feel like that happens, like, "What do you do all day?" Like, if you're not around people who also stay at home, like, I think before I even was a parent and I heard about people staying at home, I was like, "What do you do all day?" Like, I had that same question, and I don't know, maybe naive of me, but I think that's, like, one thing. One of the other things that comes to mind too is, oh, like, you could be furthering your career, like, going so much further in the business world or, like, you went to school, got a degree, like, why don't you use it? And I just think of like, "Ah, God gave us a gift of kids, and I really wanna soak up these younger years with them." And to get to see a lot of those milestones, like, I don't know, why wouldn't you wanna do that? Like,
Yeah.
if you're able to do it, but, like, what are you doing all day or why aren't you using your degree?
Yeah. No, I can definitely somewhat can see that too, just because like my mom, she was a nurse and then she stopped working when I was like preschool, kindergarten to be a stay-at-home mom. And even though now, like back then, I didn't really think much of it just because I was like, oh, mom's home now. I can like
Mhm.
play more. But
Yep.
I think looking back, I really do see the investment she put in me and the care
Mm.
she put in me until like later, my parents got a divorce, so she could no longer be a stay-at-home mom. She
Yep.
had to work to provide for me. But I saw how that really changed. Just
Yep.
like I really did appreciate those years that she could stay at home with me. And then
Yep.
when my parents got divorced, I was like in high school anyway. So I was like not really home because I was doing
Yep.
sports and I was trying to hang out with friends. So,
Yep.
but it is like a very big difference. Not to say we understand that there's some people who are not able to be in that position of
Yep.
being a stay-at-home parent.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes. Everyone honestly, I think you have to do what's best for your family. Like, not everyone's gonna be able to stay at home. Like, some people will be able to stay at home. It just kinda depends on what you do and or, like, what's best for you guys. So
Yeah, yeah. What strategies, routines, coping skills do you use just to stay sane?
Yeah, so I do have some routines. One of the things I think I try to do, is getting time by myself or getting time awake that Lily is not awake. Right now, Lorraine is just kind of like her nap times are just so sporadic that I can kind of work around her. She's so easy. She's just so fun. She's very simple. But one of the things that I try to do right now is like get up at least an hour before Lily's going to get up. So then I can get some time to myself or like read my Bible, make my coffee, and kind of like prepare myself for the day or like just like planning a little bit of routine of like, okay, like I'm gonna go do this today or I'm gonna go do this today with the kids. And I think that's been really, really helpful. And another thing, kind of I think it's kind of just like formed myself or formed into my routine now is Lily goes to bed. It's always really helpful when Luke can put Lily to bed too. Um,
Yeah,
but he'll
yeah.
put her to bed and he'll take her upstairs to her room and I'll just pick up the entire living room. Our living room is pretty small. Um, but I'll like pick up our entire living room just so I can be like, it's toy free. This is great. And that actually helps me. So then, I mean, I'm not going to go to bed as soon as Lily goes to bed, but when I come downstairs in the morning to read my Bible and get that time of like refreshment, I don't have to like feel like I'm going to jump straight into chore mode because the dishes aren't done or the like living room's not picked up, which it's going to become a mess as soon as she comes downstairs anyways. But for me, like it helps me not just like jump into like mom mode or chore mode as soon as I wake up and I can actually get that refreshing morning. So like just using like a 5 minute like pickup time or like dishes time, like right after Lily goes to bed has been so helpful. During the day when Lily's awake, one of the things I found is just so helpful. If I can get out with her in the morning or in the afternoon, it's just been so helpful. Normally we try
Yeah.
to spend the opposite one at home, so then she's not just used to be going out everywhere all the time. In Mankato, we have the Children's Museum, and it's just so fun to watch Lily. Not really sure there's an age range for it, but I mean, there's stuff that little kids like under a year old can do, but then I see a lot of like toddler age kids there. And we go there fairly often throughout the course of the week, but we can spend a good 2, sometimes even 3 hours there. And Lily's just running around, all getting all of her energy out. And so I think that's been something that's been really helpful is just having a plan of, oh, we're gonna go out to the Children's Museum this morning, getting out so then Lily can get some of her like excitable running energy out. And then it's always a bonus when I get to see some friends there. Because I always run into someone I know there now. Or wherever we go, really, I feel like I always run into someone that I can talk to. And then it's just a huge bonus to hang out with friends too.
Yeah, I feel like so just to summarize, I feel like time by your like time allotted to do something else besides like being with your kids, like while they're doing dishes or even just like sitting down to decompress, journal, even
Yep.
just pray, etc. And then
Yep.
also just gain some time to go outside. And there's
Yep.
some science behind that too. Like the sun gives
Yes,
you some
yes,
dopamine
yes,
relief,
yes,
and it's just
yes.
like vitamin D. So no, those are really good tips just to like take some time for yourself and plan out some intentional time too of
Yep.
getting outside and doing things that will bring you joy as well.
Yes, yes. Like, it's not all just for her, it's for me too. Like, oh, like, I also need to take care of myself, and what's gonna be most helpful to me right now is not being in the house, like, not being cooped up. We need to go somewhere. And thankfully, we live in a town that has things available to go do. So
And then do you want to go back to work someday?
I do. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Actually, when Lily was like 6 months old, I was just like, I was really bored. I had kind of a routine set, but I ended up finding a job or a part-time like admin job that I started working. I mean, up until Ray was born, like I would work in the mornings. Luke was be able to be with Lily, and it
Oh.
was so helpful. Like, I mean, not just the financial aspect of it, like getting to like rather than just staying at home, but the like mental load that it was able to help me. Just like I have something outside that I'm doing outside of the house that's so helpful. I mean, I was still doing it in the house, but it was helpful for me just to have a little bit of something that's not the kids, not the house. It's something that I can work towards. And so I have taken a massive step back from that, which has been really good. I'm not sure I could have handled 2 kids and that as well, but I do really look forward going back to work one day. I really enjoy working, especially if it's something that
Yeah.
I'm passionate about doing. I'm looking forward to it. But right now, God's got me with these kiddos and I'm thankful.
And I think we do this tendency of we always like because we live in a society that's so polarizing. We always
Mhm.
think that one camp is wrong. So if you're working and you see other stay at home moms, you're like, oh, I could never do that. Why would they choose to stay at home when you could be working?
Yes.
And then you have some stay at home moms who see people who work part time or full time, and they're like, oh my goodness, like what are you doing? You are
Yes.
neglecting your kids.
Yes.
And they're
Yes.
both not true. They're overgeneralized
Yes.
statements on both sides of the camp, where I think they're both good things. They're
Yeah.
both needed things, raising
Yes.
kids and
Yes.
also working. But we just live in society where we like have this stigma about how we see each other. And it's
Mhm.
insane.
Yeah. I think there's part of me that's also thought that too is like, "Oh, like, I feel like I need to work, and I
Yeah.
don't right now." Like, and that this is what I've chosen to do is staying at home. But I see it like, "Oh, like, I could be working right now. Like, I could." And that would free us up in more ways than one. But then I also think about like, well, I also don't really wanna send our kids to daycare because I want to be with the kids. Like, there's like, I wanna go work, but I wanna be with the kids. And so I'm like, my odds, they're colliding with one another where they're like, "Oh, I want both things, but I can't do both things."
Yeah, money's a thing too. Daycare
Yes.
costs money.
Yes. Yeah, it costs so much money. I think we had calculated at one point of if I wanted to go back to work and then send the kids to daycare, like, it was gonna basically even itself out. And I was like, "Well, I'd rather stay at home with the kids." So that's what we'll do for now.
Yeah, Laura, do you have any advice for new moms who are considering staying home, but they're maybe afraid of losing themselves or losing their identity?
Yeah. One of the best things that's worked for me, and it's probably not gonna work for everyone, is just walking alongside people that are doing the same
Mhm.
thing. I think I would burn out so fast if I was trying to stay at home without either one, asking for help or knowing other people that are doing it alongside me. Like, I literally have a group chat in my phone that's we text each other when we're going somewhere, so, like, we all can see each other throughout our weeks, and honestly, I live for some of those moments is my little extrovertedness, but I think
Yeah.
I would burn out so fast if I didn't have a community of people that are doing it with me. So I'd say just, like, welcome people into your messiness and of motherhood and, like, choose to walk alongside other people because it makes it so much more fun. Like, I
Right.
think when I was staying at home and feel like I didn't really have a ton of friends, and especially friends that were in the same stage of life as me, it wasn't all that fun, and I was really bored. And I think, like, I really was. I love my kids. I love them. I need some people that I can actually talk to throughout the day, and they will actually respond to things rather than, like, raisins or like, cool." Like, and so I think for me, like, my advice is choose people to bring into your life and to do it with you. Even if those people aren't stay-at-home moms, cool beans. I have friends that are also not moms. I have friends that are working and just, like, making like Mindy, exactly. I like, I have friends that aren't in that season of life and I still enjoy those friendships. Like, I make
Yeah.
time to get time with people outside of kid time. So, like, I go on little dates with my friends, and it's great,
Oh.
but I still need that community around me, and so I would say just welcome
Right.
people into it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, Laura, I'm about to wrap it up by asking some rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
I feel like the first one though I always ask, so it's not really rapid fire. Who's the last person that you called?
It's probably Luke. Uh, I don't call very it's, like, either Luke or my parents.
What's your favorite nap time activity besides napping yourself?
I don't nap, actually, fun fact.
Oh
I
wow.
just can't nap. I think right now, like, one of my favorite activities has been just working on some house projects. We bought our
Ooh,
house a little bit a year ago, or a little bit over a year ago, and now I'm like, I just I was in a project mode before Lorraine was born, and now I think I'm back into it, and so it's like painting and touching things up, and there's just a lot of quirky things that need in our house that need attention, and so, um, that's been really fun to do.
that's so fun.
Yeah.
Uh, what's one chore you secretly enjoy?
I love sweeping. I like, I absolutely love to sweep. It just brings me so much joy. We have, like, all hardwood floors with tile in our on our main floor especially, and it's so satisfying when I can sweep up all of, like, the crumbs and everything at the end of the day, or in the middle of the day, really whichever one happens, and it's so satisfying just getting to clean
That
up all the
is.
little grime. It's great.
And then coffee or tea to survive the day.
Iced coffee. Thankfully, we got a espresso machine when after we had Lily, and it's a game changer. A good coffee, and I just make it. Everyone always jokes about your coffee getting cold by the time you get to drink it as a when you're a parent. So just make it cold in the beginning, and then it just gets a
And then
little
it won't
bit
get cold.
warmer. It doesn't get cold. It just gets a tiny bit warmer by the time you drink it. That's my whole
Yeah.
theory on that. So,
Yeah, Luke was telling me that on our podcast too. He was like, "Yeah, I have this coffee machine that I use every morning before I go and do worship." And I'm like, "Whoa."
he has Luke has a coffee system in he has it down. Um,
Yep.
yes, he loves his coffee. So,
He had that since college too.
and he's only upgraded his equipment since and only gotten more and more particular about things with it. But
Yeah.
he could make you a good
Upgrade
cup
some
of coffee.
he upgraded from Folgers for sure.
Oh, 100%. Do we even have I don't think we even have any Folgers in the house. Wait, oh, we do. We have decaf, but
Do you Okay, this is like a side note. And so, but thanks for everyone for listening, but
yeah.
just a fun bonus question. What was your favorite like memory of us from college? Cuz
Honestly,
we've
I
done a lot of things together.
we've done so much together, Mindy. Honestly, I the thing that comes to mind is the one trip that we took. Well, CrossCon was a fun time. That was a good trip. I remember hopping into that trip fairly last minute too, but the one that comes to mind is when we went to Colorado to go hiking together. I think we went out for a spring break trip with a bunch of friends. Honestly, I feel like that's when we really, like, started to bond a little bit more, 'cause I
Yeah.
feel like we both have, some really fun, bubbly personalities. Not to toot my own horn, but, like, you have such a fun, bubbly personality, Mindy, that
Oh, thank
I
you.
yeah, you're welcome. We had so much I remember laughing so much on that trip, like, climbing mountains, eating a bunch of snacks, like, staying in an Airbnb together, like, I remember us just
Yeah.
laughing so much during that trip that I was like, "Wow, like, Mindy's a pal," and I'm, like, so thankful that I get to have her in my life, and it's only progressively gotten more in the last several years, like, it's been, like, 5 years since we left college,
Yeah, we
which
were
is
talking about
insane.
that last time I came over.
Yeah. Like, we we've been out of school for so long, and you're still such a huge part of our lives, and so, just really thankful for you.
Intentionality.
Intentionality in relationships. It's
Yep,
a
yep.
true joy.
Did we go skiing on that trip?
I think some people did, but I
Okay.
didn't. I
Okay.
remember not going because I can't ski to save my life, so but you might have actually gone skiing.
I think I went with some other guys or whatnot. Okay, I won't say names. The one memory I have from that trip is that we were hiking, and all of a sudden, you probably know who I'm talking about. But then all of a sudden, someone just like fell down the freaking mountain, and then everyone, and
I
then and then everyone just kind of looked at each other like, "What do we do?" And
it was
I don't
like
want to say names.
I I I actually do remember that. I think they, like there was, like, a huge, like, cliff or something, and they just decided, like, they saw there was, like, a little cliff that you could stand on just below that one, and I think someone, like, jumped down to, like and it was a good little jump, but there's a lot of cliffs during that trip. I think we were out there with uh, some wild pals that were much more adventure seeker than I was at that point.
Oh, for sure. I'm afraid of heights, and so that's why, like, we're both mutual friends with Nicole who, like, loves heights. And then just I remember that trip though, after that person fell, they just got up and they were like, "Well, we should just keep going." And everyone was like, "Are you okay?" Because that was not like a short little fall. It was
No,
like
no, I do remember that, or, like, I think there was a couple times, like, even, like, I would try to climb up something, and then I'd climb up it perfectly fine. Couldn't try to come back down, couldn't do it. I just would freak out, like, trying to come down this little mountain. I'm like, "Ah, I don't like heights. Why did I do this?
me either.
Why did I climb to see these views?" But that was such a fun trip.
It was. Well, Laura, thank you, thank you, thank you so
Yeah.
much for being on
Thanks.
Mindy and the Mic from Stigma to Connection.
Thanks, Mindy. It was great to be with you.